Okay. Hello everyone. So till now we have seen about the introduction of the casting. Then we have seen the terminologies which uses in casting. After that we have seen the patterns, that is the different types of pattern and the different materials which uses for the pattern. Also we have seen the allowances, the different types of allowances, and also we have seen the sand, different sand which uses in molding, and also we have seen the requirement, that is of the sand, that is its ability to permit, that is the different characteristics of the sand. That is first permeability, which is nothing but the ability to permit the gases to escape through it. Second, refractoriness, that is nothing but the ability to withstand high temperature. Cohesiveness, that means the ability to retain a given shape when packed into a mold. And last, that is the collapsibility, which is the ability to permit the metal to shrink after it solidifies, and ultimately to free the casting by disintegration of the surrounding mold. Okay, so these properties we have seen. Now today we are going to see about the mold making method. So generally there are two methods, that is first one is hand molding, second one is machine molding. In machine molding also there are uh, four techniques are there, that is jolting, squeezing, jolt squeezing, and sand slingers. So first let us see the hand molding. Okay, so as in hand molding, the molds are prepared by using a hand tool. Okay, so if we see in the foundry where the casting prepares in the foundry, by using a hand tool the molds are prepared. That means by using the hand, the sand is poured into the cope and drag boxes. If we see the here in the hand molding, which is used for the low quality work, and if we see the advantages, that the process is easy and cheap, and the disadvantage of this hand molding is production rate is very slow compared to machine molding. Okay, now let us see the machine molding. First, jolting method. So in machine molding, that is when number of molds at fast rates are required to molds are made by ramming the sand with the help of machines. And the techniques which uses for this machine molding is nothing but a jolt machine. So in this, here what happens, the sand in this machine, the sand is placed on the top of pattern, and the pattern, flask and sand are then lifted and dropped several times. So the kinetic energy of the sand produces optimum packing around the pattern. This jolting machine, which can be used on the first half of a match plate pattern or on both halves of a cope and drag operation. Okay, so here you can see the impact load applied on the bottom of the mold, so that the higher strength and hardness on the bottom. Okay, so this is what jolting. Here you can see here table which is mounted on a sleeve. So here you can see base plate is there. This is for squeezing machine. Okay, this is jolting method, and here the squeezer machine. Okay, so here you can see that is in squeezing machine the impact load was on the bottom of the mold, but here the ramming force or impact load applied on the top surface on the mold is called as a squeezer action, so that the high strength and hardness on the top surface occurs. Okay, so this is what about the squeezing machine, squeeze machine. And third one, that is the jolt and squeeze machine. This is the combination of jolting and squeezing machine. It is often used to produce more uniform density throughout the mold and have a match plate pattern is positioned between the cope and drag sections of a flask. And the assembly is placed here is upside down on the molding machine. A parting compound is sprinkled on the pattern and the top section of the flask is filled with the stand. Okay, so here what happens, unless the molds are very small, the molding machine usually provide a mechanical assistance for inverting the heavy work. Here if you see, uniform strength is obtained and this machine is normally used for having height less than 200 mm. For small components, this machine uses. Okay. Now next, that is sand slinging machine. Here, whatever the sand slingers are there, the flask uniformly with the sand under a stream of high pressure. If you see over here, this sand slinger, okay, what it does, it fills the flask uniformly with sand under a stream of high pressure. They are used to fill large flasks and are typically operated by the machine. So in this, if we see, an impeller is there in the machine which throws the sand from its blades at such high speed that the machine not only places the sand but also ramps it appropriately. Okay, so these are what the molding methods techniques are there. Next we'll see the core. Okay, so normally the cores which are used for producing hollow casting are to produce the holes through the casting. Okay, that means when a casting is to have a cavity or recess in it, such as a hole, some form of core must be introduced into the mold. Core can be defined as a body of sand, or generally it is separately prepared in a core box which is used to form a cavity of a desired shape and size in a casting. So these are the properties of the core. That is, the core must be a non-metal and it must be a high strength. Okay, and it should have a high collapsibility. That is, it should be easy to break the core. It should free from the moisture. That means it should be a dry. And the last, that means it is a high refractory. That means it should withstand high temperature because we are going to keep it in a mold cavity. So it should have sufficient high refractory. That means it should withstand for high temperature. Okay, so these are the properties of the cores which normally uses to produce a hole in a casting or in a required part or product. Okay, now next we are going to see the types of cores. Okay, so depending on the position and the application, the cores are classified as horizontal core, vertical core, wing core, and ram up cores. Okay, all these are based on the position of the cores. Okay, so that means if we see in first case, that is horizontal core. Here what happens, the core is there and this, the core is, the core is held in the mold horizontally. Okay, and the core, this normally oftenly used in the mold prepared with a split pattern. Okay, this is for horizontal core. And for vertical core, in this what happens, the upper end of the core, the upper end of the core requires considerable taper. Taper is required over here. So the upper end of the core requires some taper. So so that not to tear the sand in the cope. That means it should not disturb the sand to the which is inside the cope. Okay, when the flask is assembled. Okay, and the next, that is wing core. That means when a core hangs vertically from the cope without any support on the drag, it is called as a hanging core. Okay, so last one, that is ram up core. Ram up core means is the core in which it is placed in the sand along with pattern before ramming the mold. Okay, and this core cannot be placed in the mold after the mold has been rammed. It is used to make internal and external details of casting. Okay, so let us see the next, that is core print is there. So core print, which is nothing but, here you can see, core print is a resist provided in a mold to position and locate and support the core. Here you can see core print can be made by providing extension on the pattern. Okay, by providing the extension on the pattern, these cores are made. The core print made of two halves so that it can be easily removed the pattern. By using split pattern, here the core can be fixed. Okay, here you can see the chaplets are there. The chaplet is to avoid the core shifting or to support the core. That means to should not this core should not shift. For that purpose, these chaplets are provided on the both side of the core. Okay, this is what happens in a casting. Now, next we'll see, that is the casting processes. That means different casting processes are there. Let us see one by one of the casting processes, and after that we will see the defects which occurs normally in the casting. Okay, so let us see the different castings over here. Okay, so the first one is nothing but the different types of casting getting system is there. Okay, so different casting processes are there. That is sand casting, shell molding process, investment casting, die casting, centrifugal casting, continuous casting. So let us see first shell mold casting. This shell molding is also known as shell mold casting. It is an extendable of mold casting process which uses in a resin covered sand to form the mold. As compared to sand casting, this process has better dimensional accuracy, and the productivity rate is also high, and it require low labors compared to sand casting, and it is normally used for small to medium parts that require high precision. Okay, so if we see the example of this shell mold casting, it includes gear housing, cylinder heads, connecting rod. It is also used to make high precision molding cores. Okay, so here you can see, so here what happens, that is first you can see the pattern is there over here. Here you can see the pattern is here. So this the process of creating a shell mold, it consists of 6 steps. So here what happens, you can see. So in this, fine silica sand that is covered in a thin resin and liquid catalyst is dumped, blown or shot into a hot pattern. The pattern is usually made from a cast iron. Okay, whatever the pattern is there, it is made up of a cast iron. So it's cast iron, and this is heated to 230 to 315 degrees Celsius. Okay, then the sand is allowed to sit on the pattern for a few minutes to allow the sand to partially course. So here you can see in second step, the pattern and sand are inverted. So whatever the excess sand drops are there, so the excess sand drops free of the pattern, leaving the just the shell. So depending on the time and temperature of the pattern, the thickness of the shell is 10 to 20 mm. So here the pattern and shell together are placed in an oven to finish curing the sand. Okay, here 20 to 30 mm. What happens 10 to 20 mm? Pattern thickness is prepared over here on the pattern of the sand. Then what after here, they kept into the oven to finish curing the sand. Okay, and here you can see further, the hardened shell is then stripped from the pattern. That means the whatever the layer is there, it is taken out from the pattern. Okay, so in this way, two or more shells are combined via clamping by using a thermoset adhesive to form a mold. This finished mold can then be used immediately or stored almost indefinitely. That means for casting the shell, for casting, the shell mold is placed inside a flask. Okay, inside a flask, and it is surrounded with sand, gravel to reinforce the shell. And the machine that is used for process is called a shell molding machine. It heats the pattern, applies the sand, it heats the pattern, applies the sand mixtures, and bakes the shell. Okay, so this is what happens in shell molding processes. There are some advantages and disadvantages of shell molding. So if we see in the shell molding, whatever the shell thickness is there, so whatever the shell thickness is there, it is typically 9 mm is used. Okay, and if we see the surface finish of this shell molding is good, and it can be used for a mass production, and it is very economical. Okay, these are some advantages, but the disadvantage of this shell molding process is that it can be used only for the symmetrical shape only. Okay, so here for only symmetrical shape, this shell molding can be used. For non-symmetrical shape, we cannot use a shell molding process. Okay, so here you can see the steps. The pattern is dipped into phenolic resin for 1 to 10 minutes. Taken out the pattern along with sticky phenolic resin. Formation of thick layer into the pattern. Kept into the furnace for 250 degrees Celsius to 300 degrees Celsius. So within 2 minutes, it solidifies. Whatever the liquid is there, it is get converted into solid. And here we can remove a half layer which is taken out as a pattern. Okay, so in a such a way it can, and this is combined here, joint is made over here, and this whole thing is kept into a cope and drag. So in such a way, casting can be produced. Okay. Now, next is investment casting. And if we see the further application of the shell moldings are gear, cylindrical head, camshaft. These are the example of shell molding. Now next investment casting. So this is one of the oldest metal forming technique is there. Okay. So here if we see this investment casting is an industrial process based and this is also called as a lost wax coating. Okay, why it called that we'll see. In this, the casting, this investment casting allows the production of components with accuracy, repeatability, versatility in a variety of metals and high performance alloys. Okay, so let us see the different steps involved in the investment casting. Okay, so here we'll see pattern tree. So for creation of the pattern, the wax is uses in a investment casting. So if you see over here, here the several of the patterns are attached. Whatever the several patterns, different many patterns are there, they are attached to a central wax getting system. Here you can see the different parts are there which are attached to the central wax getting system via sprue, runner, riser in such a way. It is like a, it form a tree like assembly. Okay, and the whatever the gating systems are there, this gating system it forms the channels through which the molten metal will flow to the mold cavity. This is what first step. Next, mold creation. That means as we have seen the pattern is we have made which is having a required shape and size. After that this pattern tree is dipped into a slurry of having a fine ceramic particle over here. Due to that what happens, a, the wax which is present over here it is coated with a coarse particles. Okay, after that what it does, it dries to form a ceramic shell around the patterns and gating system. Okay, and this process is repeated until the shell is thick enough to withstand the molten metal it will encounter. Okay, so what happens, this wax is dipped into this ceramic slurry and this process just goes on repeating, dipping and removing. And also many times what happens, after removing it, what they do, they dry it to form a ceramic shell. And again, if sufficient thickness is not formed, again they dip into this ceramic slurry. So due to that what happens, the sufficient thickness layer is formed over here on this pattern, on this tree, so that it would stand the hot molten metal. Okay, so then the shell is, after this what they do, they keep this shell into the oven. Okay, after the ceramic coating, they keep uh, this tree into the oven. So by keeping this tree into the oven, what happens, whatever the wax is there which is inside present in the ceramic, it get melted, and it is melted outside, it comes from the ceramic. Okay, because after dipping into the ceramic slurry, sufficient thickness is formed on the wax. After that, this tree is kept into the oven. Due to that, what happens, water wax is there, it melts and it comes out of this tree. Okay, so due to the coming the wax outside the tree, what happens, only remains the hollow ceramic shell over here. Okay, so here the next step is there, as only this ceramic hollow ceramic shell is present, so that what happen, whatever the mold is there which is prepared, or molten metal is there which is prepared in a furnace which is around 1000 degrees Celsius, this molten metal is poured from a ladle into the gating system of the mold to fill the mold cavity. The cavity is found over here as the wax is melted out. Due to that, the cavity is formed. Okay. So after pouring the metal, it is allowed to solidify, and after that, what happens? The mold is breaked, and here you will get the required casting part, which is having a high accuracy. Okay. So this is what the investment bank, investment casting is there. So here we will see some advantages and limitations. So by using a investment casting, the parts which is having a greater complexity can be casted by using a investment casting. Also by using a investment casting, close dimensional control can be done in investment casting, and also in investment casting there is a good surface finish, and also whatever the wax is there which which is lost during keeping it into the oven, it can be reused in investment casting. Okay, so these are some advantages of investment casting. You can see over here. Now next we will see the next type, that is die casting is there. Okay, so here you can see this die casting is this die casting was invented by Elisha Keruth, an inventor in the employ of Samuel Collins at the Collins X making factory in 1830s. So the die casting is the process of forcing molten metal under high pressure into mold cavities. Okay, so here we can see that the molten metal is forced. Okay, so here the molten metal is forced into a permanent metallic mold under moderate to high pressure and held under pressure during solidification. This high pressure forces the metal into intricate details which produces smooth surface and excellent dimensional accuracy. Okay, so here what happens in the die casting? Okay, so here what we have seen, that is in die casting, here it is the process of forcing the molten metal under high pressure into mold cavities which are machined into two dies and allowed to solidify. So here many times what happens, you can see this is one of the component which is produced by the die casting. Okay, here the you can see the core is placed over here, and you can see the mold here, the whatever the mold is there, it is metallic. Okay, so in this mold the cavity is formed, here you can see. So in this cavity, the molten metal is poured into this, and this is kept under a high pressure. And when it solidifies, again the high pressure is removed, and we'll get such desired shape over here. Okay, but many times what happen? This whatever the high pressure is there, this high pressure causes turbulence and air trapment. So in that, in order to minimize this, what happens? Larger ingots are used in the beginning, and the whatever the pressure is there, this pressure is kept low and is increasing gradually. In such a way, force is applied over here in a die casting. Now, let us see the next casting, that is centrifugal casting. So here you can see the centrifugal casting is there. So in this, what happens, you can see in the diagram, here you can see, here is sectional front view is there, and this is side view is there. Here you can see the mold is there. Mold is present over here, and on both sides the rollers are there. Here the driver roller is there, and the one free roller is there. Okay, and also if here you can see the pouring basin is there. So in this method, the molten method, whatever the molten metal is there, this molten metal is poured at the center of a rotating mold. Okay, and due to the rotation of this, due to the rotation of a centrifugal force which acts on the liquid and pushes it towards the mold walls, and on coming in contact with the wall, and when this liquid is there, this molten metal coming in contact with the wall, what happens? This liquid metal freezes. Okay, so here you can see whatever the mold is there, it is made up of metal or ceramic, and it is rotated at high speed. Okay, and the molten metal is then poured into the mold cavity, and due to the centrifugal action, the molten metal conforms to the cavity provided in the mold. Okay, so this is what about the centrifugal casting is there. Now today we are going to stop over here. That's it for today. Thank you.